Oh, excuse me. Good morning, everyone. Got a question about worms from Cindy. I hope I pronounced this right. Junior. I guess I can't pronounce a lot of words correctly. Her question is, how often should you worm birds? My racers do get on the ground sometimes before trapping. I use Quest Plus for tapeworms. Thanks, Danny. Well, I'll tell you what I did with the Quest. I would worm them once a month, but I really was not worming the birds. I was giving them that for the biting bugs. Your question is an interesting question. If your birds are going down on the ground, they're not necessarily getting worms. If you live in a swampy area or there's puddles around or those type of things, and the birds go down and drink that dirty water, or they're drinking out of a gutter, they're probably going to get worms. I'm not so sure that Quest really cleans it up, really clean them up. And I say this because of experience, a lot of experience. I've found that Ivomec, the old type wormer, if you have worms, is probably better. And if you see roundworms come out, you better do it again. I know of several instances where guys gave their birds 3 drops of Ivomec and worms came out continuously for 3 or 4 days. And they wormed them with the 3 drops of Ivomec for 3 or 4 days. After that, there was a big improvement in the pigeon's performance. So where do I go with this? Where do I take this? If your birds are drinking out of gutters or puddles, you probably got worms. And let me tell you something about worms. We normally talk about roundworms. Very rarely is it discussed about hairworms. That worm is very difficult to get rid of. If you suspect your pigeons have worms, my advice is get the droppings checked and get rid of the worms. Your pigeons cannot win a race with any kind of parasite. They just can't perform. Maybe on a bad day you get a bird that lags behind, the other ones go the wrong way, and you get that late bird back and you win the race, but that's not winning a race. Hairworms actually can get into the muscles, breast muscles like that. They work their way up. They're difficult to get rid of. So if you got any kind of doubt that your pigeons have worms, get them checked by a vet. I know it's expensive. I understand that. But what's expensive? Some people go out and spend $500-$600 for a pigeon. Not as much as taking them to a vet to get the droppings checked, or sending the droppings out to someone that does it. There's a lot of flyers that, a lot of vets that do that. They actually let you send them the droppings and they analyze them. Or you can buy a microscope. I think a 500 power microscope will probably show you the worm eggs, coxy eggs too. Worms are a big problem, a very big problem. But they don't get them easily. You know, I know that a worm egg will survive in the environment for several years if the conditions are right. But the pigeon has to ingest it. and then get the worms, and then it's got to build up within the loft. If you're cleaning your loft and you're taking good care of your birds, it's not a big problem for the flock, maybe for an individual bird, unless you live in a swampy area, birds are drinking out of the gutter, you got puddles, then you're going to have a problem. But how often should you worm them is really what your question's about. And I'm going to think about it for a second. You should worm them as often as you're absolutely sure that you got worms. Now, if you're taking care of biting bugs and you want to give them Quest, it's a different story, completely different. I hope I explained this well, because it is important. This is a very good question. And I'm still thinking about it as I read it again. These videos are here to help you. I do these videos to help you. I don't race anymore. I don't even have birds anymore. I'm here to help. That's what I do. That's what I like to do. So if I give you advice and tell you to go see a vet, maybe you should consider it. You spend all this money on feed and medications and everything else. Medicate them properly. Take 5 and 10 loft. That man didn't know a tiplet from a flight 2 years ago. And today, he's a combine winner. He flies against over 2,000 pigeons every week, and he's in the top 1% every week. It's because he's aware of what pigeons get. He has them checked. He goes to the vet. He takes them to a vet. He gets their throats checked, everything. Maybe it cost him $100 or $2. But I'll tell you what, when he bets the board and he wins the board, he picks up $400, $500, $600, more than pays for the vet. If you fly pigeons in China or Taiwan and you're listening to this video, you had better really check your birds for worms. There's big money involved in those areas. The kid in the Philippines won a motorcycle with a sidecar because he takes care of his birds. It might be a little expensive, but be absolutely sure your birds don't have worms. If they don't have worms and things are dry, they're probably not going to get worms. Maybe an occasional bird will get it from a puddle or something like that if he goes down with thirst. But it's not going to be a flock thing. Because you're maintaining your pigeons. You should be maintaining your pigeons. I'm rambling on here, but I can't stress enough how you have to get your pigeons healthy in order to win. So I'm going to stop it here. And I'm going to say, subscribe. Please subscribe, especially if you're a new flyer and you're coming by just curiously. Subscribe. We put out a lot of good videos. Give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down, and thank you for watching.